Reanimal is one of those horror games that doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. Instead, it thrives on something far more unsettling: the fear of the unknown. From the very beginning, the game throws you into a fractured world with almost no context. You wake up in a boat as a young boy, you meet a girl, and together you send off to find your missing friends. At first, it feels like a very simple journey, but it doesn't take you long before you realize Reanimal is doing something much deeper. This isn't a quest. This becomes an eerie analogy for childhood fears and trauma. The kind of fears that feel irrational when you're older, but completely real when you're young. And as the story unfolds, what begins as a mystery slowly reveals itself into something much more complex and emotionally heavy. One of Reanimal's greatest strengths is how little it explains. There's no HUD, no tutorials, and barely any dialogue. The game refuses to hold your hand. Instead, all of its lore is told throughout the environment. You'll find disturbing drawings, butchered creatures, horrifying monsters, and strange remnants of something terrible that happened here, involving a flood and maybe a war. The constant silence creates that undercurrent of tension, like the world itself is hiding something from you. And visually, Reanimal is absolutely stunning. The attention to detail is so unreal. Small environmental animations, the way characters move, the lighting, the shadows, the whole atmosphere is just absolutely just strong in this game. And it just works. Everything works together to make the world feel both gorgeous and deeply unsettling. The game also uses wide cinematic shots to emphasize just how massive and lonely this place is, and reminds you how small you really are. And honestly, one of my favorite parts of Reanimal is how the story unfolds. It's sort of simple, mysterious, but the deeper you get, the more it pulls back the curtain, and you keep getting more puzzle pieces as you play the game. And I love that type of storytelling. You're constantly thinking about what's going to happen, what does this mean, what does that mean? The game slowly reveals what's going on, piece by piece, and makes the journey feel so much more impactful. The monsters you face along the way are truly terrifying. Not because of how they look, but how they're introduced. Sometimes you don't see them fully at first. You see their presence, maybe, their shadow. They're unsettling, unpredictable, and they generally make you feel very vulnerable. And each monster in this game represents the sort of trauma, I think, for each child that you rescue. And without spoiling too much, the first monster might represent childhood kidnapping. And Reanimal doesn't want you to fight the monsters, it wants you to fear them. And gameplay-wise, Reanimal doesn't reinvent the horror genre all that much, but it delivers something very interesting. It starts off as a platformer, becomes a survival horror game at times, and overall, exploration is the main focus, right? The game wants you to observe your surroundings, move carefully, and piece things together yourself. Taking sections and chase sequences are often woven very well together. And thankfully, checkpoints are very generous, right? So even when the game leans into trial and error moments, it never becomes too frustrating. And I have to mention, this game is so much fun, especially with my girlfriend or a partner, always theorizing what the story is going to do next. And that shared experience made the game a lot more engaging to me. Reanimal is the kind of game that sparks conversation while you're playing it, and even after you finished it, you immediately felt like, okay, you need to play through this again to get the next ending, because it generally feels like there are details that we might have missed, little environmental clues or story moments that hit differently once you have more context what's really going on in the world itself. And I think the replayability is pretty huge with this game. That said, Reanimal isn't perfect. Small immersion issues when playing solo, the girl companion sometimes feels oddly unaffected by the horrors happening next to her. It's minor, but it's noticeable, right? On top of that, I did run into several visual bugs here and there, mainly when using the friend pass. Nothing too game breaking, but small things like animations looking slightly off or not playing well, kind of like your arm, kind of like the arm twisting behind a character, getting like lagging behind or whatever, stuff like that. Textures flickering, moments where the environments don't look quite right, and the game is so dependent on the atmosphere and tension. Even a little glitch like that can put you out of the experience in like a matter of a second, right? Pretendly though, it's still overall very polished. A few minor frame drops here and there, but when a lot of stuff is on screen. And a couple of small bugs. Only one soft lock that we experienced, and only when using the friend pass in my experience. Nothing that ruins the experience. For added context, it does seem like they rushed out their friend pass because when the game first launched, there was no friend pass, but now it's here. So they kind of rushed out the friend pass, I feel like, so keep that as you will. Reanimal is a horror game that understands restraint. It knows what you don't see is often scarier than what you do. And I think it's the perfect length, about 5 hours in my case. And it's emotionally heavy, visually breathtaking, and constantly willing to challenge what you expect the story to be. The only real downside, I wish it was a bit longer, not because it feels incomplete, but because we were enjoying it so much we didn't want it to end. And if you're looking for a horror experience that's unsettling, mysterious, and generally meaningful, Reanimal is absolutely worth your time. Thanks for taking the time to watch my review. I used to like this all the time. With that, see you guys next time. Peace out.